Hey all, Dan here again with today's Ask Me Anything. This is actually from many people. We get asked this not only at trade shows, but via emails and tweets and things like that. So I thought I'd cover them all at once. That seems to be kind of a theme this week of let's hit those questions we get a million times and see if we can address them all at once. So today's question is specifically about our nickel amp, specifically the cable and the connector we use on the end. Yes, on nickel, we use a micro B. We don't use a type C. And we get a lot of people asking us like, well, why do you do that? What's the point of that? Why don't you go with a type C? Hey, it's a couple questions. Now, first off, nickel is a couple-year-old design. We designed it. It's been going good, but it's been on the market for a few years now. And that's one thing to keep in mind. When nickel came out, Type B, the micro B, was still very ubiquitous everywhere. In fact, it still is. I believe currently in Europe, to sell a cell phone, you have to have a charger that supports micro B. A lot of times they'll include a little adapter that goes from the B to the C for the phone, things like that. But by law, you still have to support that because that's what it is. So pretty much everybody around the world has a micro B. And if you don't, we include a little tiny short one. So you got one. Reason number one. Number two, it's smaller. Actually, physically, the micro B is a smaller connector than Type C, and that allows us to actually make nickel a little smaller. If we went to Type C, it'd have to be probably about another 3 or 4 millimeters longer. We'd probably have to increase the width about another millimeter or two as well. So it allows us to make a smaller amp. Yeah, it's convenient that you can just plug it in and not worry about it. On the other hand, wouldn't you like to be able to make something, 15% smaller because it is such a small portable amp? The whole point of a portable amp is to be small and portable. So that's one thing. The third thing is also related to that is cost. A micro B has 5 pins in it, and they've sold hundreds of billions of these things. So probably, because everybody's used to have, a house full of 20 of these connectors. It's a very cheap connector to make, which is good. It's incredibly reliable, very robust. Great. The Type C, on the other hand, has 24 micro pins in it. This is a pet peeve of mine. USB, universal serial bus. How does a serial bus connector end up with 24 pins on it? Excuse me? Serial? The old Centronics parallel that we used to use on our printers and things like that is 25. Come on, let's get serious here. Anyway, so the Type C, the USB-C, actually has 24 pins in it. It's actually more fragile. It's much more expensive. I can get micro Bs, we can get those connectors for 25, 30 cents. A Type C is going to run us $1.50. Now, people are like, it's only $1.25. You're right, but then there's also shipping, manufacturing, because there's going to be harder to manufacture because they're finer pitched and we have higher fallout, all the other things. It's going to add $4 or $5 to the retail price by the time we're all done. Is $5 worth it for something that you're only going to have to plug in, maybe a couple dozen times a year for things? We looked at all this. We said, you know what? Based upon where we were when we did nickel, USB-C is still kind of new. It's still not affordable. It's a bigger package. Let's just not go down that path. So we didn't. That's why we did Type micro B. So anyway, there's your answer. I hope that satisfies everybody. As always, if you have any questions, hit us up at Periodic Audio on Twitter or send us an email at info@periodicaudio.com. We'll see you guys later. Thanks. Bye.